Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Kamisha Tyler, aka Sarathea I Am. And today, I'm going to give some awareness on your spiritual DNA versus measuring the level of sin in the flesh. Amen. And here's why we're talking about this on today. When we go through our movie, when we go through the videos that I sent, first of all, what we're going to do is expose this 400-year slavery that was set in place and the plan or this tactic that they are using to do it. Okay? So your enslavement, your slavery happens like this. These leprous Caucasians, the pale Egyptians or Hispanics, their clan, here's where they made a mistake. They made a mistake in believing that they could sever our spiritual umbilical cord. Okay? They can sever us from history, right? But their mistake was believing that they could sever us from who we are in hiding or coding education, believing that they could sever or detach us from our spiritual umbilical cord. Okay? Now, when they tell you to take these DNA tests and say, oh, well, you're this percent this or that percent that, all they're doing is measuring the level of sin in the flesh. Right? Because we go back to the commands of God and the things that He's doing to the original thought for us to be holy people, set apart. It says that God separated the light from the darkness, right? And I know how they divided it was they tried to create that within His perversioning, right? Because in every version, you'll have the dark skin, you'll have a lighter complexion. These are the lightening of the complexities in the version of being God mind, trying to harness that in the flesh. So their divisioning was miscalculated according to God's original thought. They did not, we'll talk about the European race or the white race right now. They did not want to be the outcast, so to say, to be the only clan having or not finding a darker version and a lighter version, the male and the female within their clan. But this is what happens when they wanted to erect what they was calling white supremacy, right? Because there is a version of lighter complexities for all melanated God power. They wanted to erect themselves in a position that was not the original thought from God. Let's put it this way. You have your European races, white, Caucasian, whichever name they go by now, but you have a dark-skinned white man, which is your Latinas, your Mexicans, your all of this. But the plan to enslave you, Afro-Negro American folks, was for them to hand to you their their dark-skinned whites, which are the Latinos, the Mexicans, whatever else they go by. Because now you're intermingling and intermixing outside of the will of God. That is part of the subtle deception from the serpent. Biblically, God said that these, right, would be cast away because of their actions. So now what do you have today in white supremacy? You have them giving you these DNA tests so you can never find out that you are the chosen of God. You are the Israel. You are the one selected in priority for God's work. But when you involving yourself with the Hagars, God has to restart the plan with you. You have to go through a cleansing from having mixed your biological and spiritual strain with theirs, right? When God said, if you wanted a lighter complexity, I've given you that within your version. God told the whites, the Europeans, the so-called angels, or the leprous, if you wanted him tall, dark, and handsome, I've given you that within your version. So the 400-year slavery was that wool that they threw over your eyes for you to think that you're supposed to involve yourself with all whom you desire. Let's take the story of Abram, Sarah, and Hagar. Okay? Remember, God had a plan to give them Abram and Sarah, but at the time her name was Sarai. Remember, we go back to the beginning where God said that, and God saw that good, when he can see the plan that far in the future in excellency. He knew that Sarai was going to speak the word against God. It's no different than Job's wife saying, oh, why don't you just curse God and die? That was what Sarai, in a sense, spoke to Abram when she said, here, go make babies with these Egyptians, Latinos, and Mexicans, right? This is why the white person, you always hear them saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And you were miseducated to believe that she had some kind of conviction for the wrong that she was doing. You were miseducated to believe that what she was saying to you was, I apologize for something. She's telling you, I'm not speaking to you correctly. I'm not on your side. I'm not in the will of God, teaching you the will of God. I'm sorry. And so now what you see is when God had cleansed them and put them back right side up, God changed his name to Abraham. The adding of more letters into his name, saying that, okay, now we can further the cause of my original thought, original plan. We see that in modern day where they're saying, I'm a homosexual or transgender. I'm out of the will of God, and I'm going to further my agenda because I'm going to keep adding letters to this LGBTQ elemental P's. right? So we're talking about what? Your spiritual DNA versus measuring the level of sin in the flesh. Amen? So now we're finding out what's really going on from a biblical stance. I'll talk to y'all later.